In the quiet village of Umueze, nestled deep within the rolling hills of Enugu, a state in southeastern Nigeria, lived a couple known to all, Agu and Uloma. Agu was a tall, proud man, known for his strength and kindness. Uloma, graceful and soft-spoken, had the beauty of the early morning sun. They had been married for nearly 20 years, but their union bore one aching void: no child. In a land where children are seen as both blessings and legacies, the whispers grew louder with each passing year. Some villagers said Agu had married a barren woman. Others whispered that Uloma had eaten all her unborn children in secret witchcraft. She would walk to the Ek market and feel the eyes, piercing, cruel, unrelenting, but she bore it all with quiet dignity. Agu never wavered in his love. He would say, "Nem, if the world turns its back, I will be your world." They visited native doctors from Newi to Arochukwu, drank every herbal mixture, slept in shrines, and made countless sacrifices. Once they even spent a whole night inside the sacred grove of a revered dibia, only to return empty-hearted and disappointed. Then one day, Uloma's childhood friend Ngozi, now a devout Christian and worship leader in a new Pentecostal church in Enugu, visited the village. She found Uloma sitting under the old Udara tree, her face worn with silent sorrow. Ngozi took her hand and said, "Ulo, follow me to church. There is a God who hears the cries of broken women." Out of desperation more than faith, Uloma went. She sat quietly at the back during the night vigil, almost leaving when the pastor began shouting prayers. But when the woman leading worship sang, "China enyenwa, nwabu onyinye chukwu," God gives children, a child is a gift from God, something stirred in her. Tears she had long buried began to fall. That night she wept on the altar like a child, her voice breaking through the silence. "If you are truly God, remember me." Weeks passed. Uloma went about her duties, not thinking much of it, until her morning sickness started. She thought it was a fever. Then her period didn't come. She told no one, not even Agu. She waited. At 3 months, a local nurse confirmed it. She was pregnant. Uloma kept the news to herself, afraid it might be a cruel joke, but when she hit 5 months, her growing belly could no longer be hidden. She finally told Agu one night as they lay under the stars. He sat up slowly, blinking in disbelief. "Uloma, are you saying?" She nodded, smiling through tears. "Yes, my husband, the Lord has remembered us." Agu burst into tears, the kind that escapes a man only once or twice in a lifetime. He held her close and sang the old lullaby his mother used to sing to him. Nwama, nwaoma, kaem na ebu ginobi. From that day, Agu became a different man. He followed her to the market, carried her basket, and insisted she eat only the freshest fruits. He built a small shade in the compound for her to rest in during the hot afternoons. He even planted a garden filled with pumpkin leaves, garden eggs, and bitter leaf, her cravings. "Now I have my Ada that will bring me wealth," he muttered to himself. The same villagers who once mocked her now gaped in awe. Women who had mocked her barrenness now curtsied when she passed. But Uloma carried no bitterness. She walked with grace and humility, often smiling and greeting those who once shamed her. Some accused her of using charms or going to a strange church to get pregnant. Others said she must have visited a powerful Babalawo in Yoruba land. But the truth, Uloma said to anyone who asked, was simple. God did it. In her final month, as her belly grew heavy with promise, the entire village seemed to hold its breath, watching every step she took with a mix of awe, curiosity, and quiet anticipation. Then, just before sunrise on a calm Saturday morning, as the first light began to break through the palm fronds and the roosters crowed faintly in the distance, Uloma's water broke, sending a wave of urgency through the compound like the sounding of a sacred bell. The miracle everyone had prayed for was finally ready to enter the world. The moon hung heavy in the sky, casting long shadows across the mud walls of Agu and Uloma's hut. Inside, a flickering oil lamp illuminated the proud parents as they gazed upon their newborn daughter, Adaku. Her skin, the color of rich earth after a rain, glowed softly in the lamplight. Uloma cradled her close, humming a lullaby passed down through generations, while Agu beamed, his heart overflowing with love. They had prayed for this child, this precious gift, and now, as they held her tiny form, Their hopes for her future blossomed like the desert flower after a rare downpour. News of Adaku's birth spread quickly through the village, carried on the whispers of the harmattan wind. Among those who heard the joyous tidings were Udoti's parents, who lived in a village far to the east. They had long hoped for a daughter, but fate had blessed them only with sons. Intrigued by the whispers of Adaku's beauty, they decided to visit Agu and Uloma, bringing with them their son, Udoti, a boy with eyes as bright as the morning star. The journey was long and arduous, but their hearts were filled with anticipation. When they finally arrived at Agu and Uloma's hut, they were captivated by Adaku. Even as a newborn, there was an ethereal quality about her, a spark of magic in her large, curious eyes. Udoti, though just a toddler himself, seemed drawn to her, reaching out a chubby hand to touch her soft cheek. An idea, swift and bright as a lightning flash, sparked in the hearts of Udoti's parents. They saw in Adaku the perfect wife for their son, a bond that would unite their families for generations to come. Following the ancient tradition, they presented Agu and Uloma with a small calabash, exquisitely carved with symbols of love and prosperity. Filling it with fresh water from the sacred spring, they offered it to the new parents as a symbol of betrothal, a promise that Udoti and Adaku would one day be husband and wife. Agu and Uloma, touched by the gesture and impressed by the sincerity of Udoti's parents, accepted the calabash. The water, clear and pure, represented the purity of their intentions, the promise of a future blessed by the ancestors. With the calabash accepted, the betrothal was sealed, a bond forged in the presence of their families and witnessed by the spirits of their ancestors. Adaku, unaware of the destiny that awaited her, slept peacefully in her mother's arms, her future already intertwined with that of the boy from the east, a boy she had yet to know. The harmattan wind, a silent witness to the ceremony, carried the whispers of the promise across the land, a promise that would shape the lives of two families for years to come. The harmattan wind whispered secrets through the tall grasses, carrying the scent of dust and the faint echo of Adaku's laughter. It had been years since she left her village, a bride betrothed in the ancient way. A small calabash, brimming with water, had sealed her fate, a promise whispered between families under the watchful eyes of their ancestors. Now the calabash was a faded memory, tucked away in the recesses of her heart, alongside the ache for the home she left behind. Far away, in the village of her birth, Adaku's parents, Agu and Uoma, cradled their second child, Ego. Born to them in their twilight years, Ego was a gift, a fragile bloom in the autumn of their lives. They knew their time was short, and their hearts ached with the thought of leaving Ego alone in the world. Their relatives were long gone, scattered like seeds in the wind, so they devised a plan, a thread of magic woven into the fabric of their love. Behind their hut, they planted a pumpkin seed. When the leaves grow, they told Ego, their voices raspy with age, follow the vine, it will lead you to your sister, Adaku. Years spun by like the weaver's shuttle. Agu and Uoma passed into the realm of their ancestors, leaving Ego with only the whispering wind and the growing pumpkin vine for company. As the vine snaked its way across the land, Ego followed, her small feet tracing its path through sun-drenched fields and whispering forests. It was a journey of faith, a testament to the enduring power of a mother's love. The vine led her across rivers and over hills, a green ribbon unspooling across the landscape. Months turned into seasons, and finally the vine stopped, its tendrils wrapping around the corner of a house. This, Ego knew, was her sister's home. But Adaku, living far from her own village, had no idea her little sister was journeying towards her. She saw a small, ragged girl perched by her doorstep, her eyes wide and filled with a quiet sadness. Thinking her a wanderer, Adaku, though kind at heart, kept a distance. She offered food and cast off clothes, but the girl remained a mystery. One sweltering afternoon, Adaku left her own child in Ego's care. As the baby fretted, Ego began to sing, a mournful melody woven with the story of her journey, of her lost parents, and of the pumpkin vine that guided her. She sang of a sister she had never met, a sister whose kindness felt like a distant dream, and of her own lonely existence as a servant in her sister's house. The neighbors, their hearts touched by the child's plaintive song, whispered to Adaku, They urged her to listen, to hear the story woven into the lullaby. And so one day Adaku feigned a trip to the market, but instead, she hid amongst the rustling leaves, her heart pounding in her chest. Ego, unaware of her sister's presence, began to sing. Her voice, though small, carried the weight of her sorrow, the echo of a lost childhood. Adaku listened. Ego, unaware of her sister's presence, began to sing. Her voice, though small, carried the weight of her sorrow, the echo of a lost childhood. Adaku listened, her breath catching in her throat, tears blurring her vision. The song painted a vivid picture of her own home, of the pumpkin vine, of the little sister she had left behind. The truth crashed down upon her like a thunderclap. With a cry, Adaku rushed from her hiding place and embraced Ego, holding her close, her tears mingling with the dust on Ego's cheek. "My sister," she wept, "my little sister, forgive me!" The reunion was a symphony of tears and laughter, of whispered apologies and heartfelt forgiveness. Adaku, her heart overflowing with love and regret, bathed Ego, dressed her in fine clothes, and welcomed her into her home. The ragged little girl was gone, replaced by a cherished sister, a missing piece finally found. The harmattan wind carried a new secret now, a tale of love, loss, and the enduring magic of a pumpkin vine, a testament to the unbreakable bond between sisters. That evening, Adaku tells Udodi everything. The pumpkin vine, their parents' last wishes, and how she had unknowingly mistreated her own sister. Udodi, quiet and contemplative, looks at Ego, now clean, dressed in bright clothes, asleep beside their child. The next morning, Udodi performs a small traditional family rite to welcome Ego. He washes her feet with warm water, offers her a meal first, and ties a soft bead around her wrist, symbols of belonging. Adaku and Ego plant a new pumpkin seed together in front of the house, as a symbol of their bond and their parents' love. As they cover the seed, Ego looks up with a smile and whispers, "If another sister is ever lost, this vine will lead her too." Adaku smiles back at her in acknowledgement. Inspired by Ego's story, the village organizes a festival celebrating Ezi Nwani, true siblinghood. Women perform dances about sisterhood. Children reenact the story with laughter. The pumpkin vine becomes the festival's symbol. Ego, now older, teaches children how to plant pumpkin vines. Adaku and Udodi's child, now a teenager, helps her. They laugh together. In the background, the old calabash of Adaku's betrothal and the beaded wristband Udodi gave Ego sit side by side on a shelf. From the dust of longing they grew something eternal, family reborn. For even in silence, the vines of love find their way. Thank you for joining us on this touching journey through the lives of Ego and Adaku, a story of love, loss, and sisterhood. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to help us keep African stories alive and thriving.